You ever actually wondered why some photographers seem to know exactly how the shots are going to come out? The difference isn't their camera, it's how they see the photograph before they even press the shutter. And that's exactly what the TRIOME system I've built is here to teach you as photographers. And it doesn't matter, but you know your image are technically correct, but there's something missing. And this is for you, okay? So you've had good shots and you've had bad shots. Here's the thing that nobody talks about. You couldn't tell the difference before you press the shutter, could you really? Let's be honest. That's not a gear problem. That's not a lighting problem. That's a seeing problem. And when you raise a camera, do you actually know where to begin with your shot? Or do you just let chance guide you? Well, ask yourself 4 things. Here you go, 4 things. When you raise a camera, do you know where to actually begin? Do you know where the viewer's eye will land before you press the shutter? And when the shot works, do you know why? So I know exactly how that feels because that was me. I was scared every time I raised a camera, not knowing where to begin, watching other photographers work with what looked like complete confidence and not understanding what they were seeing that I wasn't. And I started out charging £200 a day, unsure, unsteady, never quite knowing if the shot was going to be there or whether I was just hoping it would show up in post-production. But because of that, I developed a system to get over that, to stop relying on luck and to start building images that had intention. And that system took me from £200 per day to over 5,000 a day. Not because I was a better photographer or bought better gear, and not because I got luckier, but because I learned to see first at what I'm doing. So hold those 4 questions, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clean answer to every single one, because today that changes. There are 3 shapes, and together they form the complete system of my TRIOME for seeing photographs before you take it. The first is the dot, which works with the circle. The dot is where it all begins. Before you raise a camera, before anything else, you'll find a single point in that image in front of your viewfinder that will resolve. And it's where the eye will land and rest first. And that's your starting point. Every shoot, every frame, every time. The second is the circle. The circle is the immediate composition that is going to draw the viewer in. It's the path. And once you know where the dot is and the circle and the dot become one, and that is your point of reference, okay? So the third is the triangle. So this is your composition. This triangle can change different shapes. So the triangle is a structure that holds the composition together around the dot. The geometry of the frame, the body, the shoulders, the architecture, the triangle gives the image its strength and its balance. Everything resolves inside the square. This is the frame itself. This is the full composition, the boundary that locks all of the system together. The dot, the circle, the triangle, the square, and that's how I see every single image before I raise the camera for myself or for a client. I'm James Nader, and I've been a fashion and advertising photographer for over 20 years. Major commercial campaigns, international editorials, faces you will have seen and brands that you'll know from the high street and others. And what I'm about to show you isn't theory, it's what I use on every single shoot, and it's what I wish someone had given me 20 years ago. So here's the thing, here's what digital did to photography back in the day. It gave you a safety net. Shoot 100 frames, check the back of the camera, keep what works and delete what doesn't. And somewhere in that process, you've stopped seeing because you didn't have to. Photographers don't have to look at 36 shots. They can shoot and shoot and shoot just to get one shot, and that's not how you do it. Film didn't give you that. 36 frames, no screen, no second chance, Polaroid. You had to see it before you even shot it every single time. And that discipline is the way of seeing before the shutter fires. I know a lot of photographers online go on about the golden ratio, the rule of thirds, leading lines. They're not wrong, but they lead you in the wrong direction first. You're reading the image after it's been taken for post-production, fixing composition on a screen, but the edit should be happening in the viewfinder. Crafting images is by looking through the glass, the optical viewfinder, the digital viewfinder, and finding your flow, crafting the image. You've got to craft your image, and you've got to do it with intent before you go into post-production. You can't use a map if you don't know where you're standing. Okay, so before you raise a camera, and before the shutter fires, and before anything, 3 shapes, 1 system. This is how I see first on every single shoot and every frame, every time. Look at this image. Where did your eye go first? The ring resolves through color and the eye resolves through focus and reflection. And the dot is wherever the image is sharpens to a single point by light. That's your first point. By colour and by focus and by structure, you choose it before the shutter fires. Now look at this image and look how this image was built. The light was built around it and the composition built around that. And everything serves at the point where the eye lands and rests. This is not spray and pray. It's all about seeing first and understanding what you're crafting before you even get going. Now watch what happens when the colour is removed from this shot. Strip the colour and the dot becomes everything. The circle becomes everything. There is nowhere else for the eye to go. There's the circle. The path of light travels and the eye follows it right to where you watch. And when you look at it, you can see the circle, and this is the initial composition that you follow. From there you start to make the model work in the shapes and everything like that, and where the eye lands and rests, that's where you start to work on. The circle moves, the dot rests. So the dot is the first point and the circle is what moves, the path and the point. You can't separate them though. So could you set up this pose? Okay, set up this pose, and if not, why not? So that's not a confidence problem, that's not even an experience problem, that's a seeing problem. And seeing can be learned, and I know that because I've learned and I can teach others. Now watch this. Completely different shoot, a different model. This is Natasha. We shot it on location in the Bamboo Grove on a job for Verity and me, women's fashion. No studio, no umbrella, and no controlled circuit lighting or anything. Same question, where does it begin? There's the circle, a different shape. There's the triangle. See the triangle? I'm not thinking about the golden geometry and the ratios and things like that. I'm thinking about how it resolves in my camera through my viewfinder before I even get to that. The triangle point where the shoulders and the face all line up in a triangle. You've got the circle, which is the composition, the main point of reference for where you want to start from. So here we go, we've got one more now. No studio, no portrait setup, wide angle and low, and the whole city in the frame. Now everything changes. There's no studio, no portrait setup, wide angle, low angle, the whole city in the background. Some questions, where does it all begin? What is it that you're looking for? Every line in the frame leads to the same point. That's your perspective. The street, the buildings, the windows, the perspective itself, architecture becoming composition. That's not luck. Every single one of those lines was seen before the shutter fired. Putting on the 14mm lens allowed me to create a dynamic shot, looking for those leading lines exaggerated by the lens. Three completely different shoots, studio, portrait and natural location, environmental wide, same systems, same starting point every single time, and that's the TRIOME. So let me answer those 4 questions for you. When you raise a camera, you begin with a dot, and that's where you start. Every time, same place, same confidence, same focus, regardless of what's in front of you. Then you add in the circle. Look for that immediate composition that you know you're going to balance with. You know where the viewer's eyes will land, and you'll be placing it there before you press the shutter. So when a shot works, you now know why, because you built it. And when it doesn't, you know why not, because one of the 4 shapes wasn't resolved. And that's the shift. You stop reacting and you start constructing. You stop letting chance guide you and hoping for the best and spray and praying, and you start building the way a person sees your frame. You stop being the photographer who hopes that turns up and hopes for the best. You become the photographer who builds it every single time, whatever you shoot, wherever you are, and whatever the light gives you. And that's what TRIOME does. That's my brand, and that's what the system gave me, and that's what I'm giving you today. The photographers who understand this shoot fewer frames, they waste less time, and they come back from every job with stronger work. Not because they're more talented, because they see differently. We look at the tonal system that works alongside the TRIOME, how light and tone build the zones that support every compositional decision that you make, and that's what I've called Chiro, and it changes the way you see light forever. I'm James Nader. Find that feeling, it changes everything. And what's the biggest thing from stopping you from seeing the shot before you take it? Tell me in the comments and I'll read every single one. So I'll see you on the next one. This is James, over and out.